Hi, it's Jo Martin here. I'm the founder of One of Many, and today I want to talk about why women leave. Why do women leave the workforce? Now, there's some conventional thinking out there, and in my opinion, I think it's quite lazy thinking and possibly even sexist thinking that says that women leave the workforce because they want to have families. Now, I'm not saying that there are no women out there who work and then decide that, yes, they don't want to participate in the workforce anymore because they want to invest everything in their families. And I have no judgment of that choice. It's absolutely awesome. But I think to say that that is the main reason that there is a gap in terms of senior management, that there is a gap in terms of gender parity in the workforce, is because women are choosing to leave, would be vastly oversimplifying. I mean, I'm a working mother myself. I trained as a doctor, started my coaching organization, grew that. And then when my children came along, I was faced with that, oh gosh, how am I going to fit it all in? What am I going to do? Who am I if I'm now a mum and I've got to work as well? Don't get me wrong. We have to process it. But for me, leaving work would have been a last resort. So much of my contribution in the world felt like the meaning that I gave because of my work. And frankly, I know I'm not alone in this. And the research also backs this up. Now, a really good bit of data on this comes from a piece which was put together by, it was a collaboration actually between needn't and McKinsey Co. And it was called Women in the Workplace. It was done in 2018. And what they found was that even more than women leaving the workforce in those senior management positions, the problem was actually a failure to employ and promote women from the ground up in the first place. Most of their research was conducted in corporate America, but the research across the board was suggesting that women were feeling that they have to work twice as hard as men to get the same opportunities for advancement, for career training and development, for pay rises, for promotions, and so forth. I wanted to take a minute just to read out a couple of the statements from some of those women there, because I think they are so representative of the issues that so many of us are facing. This is what one of the women they interviewed said. As a woman, you've got to give 150%. You have to be more prepared, you have to be more articulate, you've got to be strong in your compassion, but also not too emotional and not too aggressive. And here's another one. This one was from a Latina woman who's now experiencing a second layer of discrimination as well because of her race as well as her gender. She says, I would say I've received a fraction of the opportunities that white men have. The ones that I did receive, I had to fight really hard for. I've seen many white men groomed for leadership. They were handheld through the process by senior leaders. That didn't mean they didn't have to perform, but it did mean that the door was wide open for them and they were given all the resources they needed to be successful. She says, that didn't happen for me. I had to literally kick the doors open. She was a senior executive. She's been at her company for 4 years. Now, when I hear stories like this about women having to work 150% as much as they feel the men around them do, when they feel like they have to be compassionate and strong and not too aggressive, that they have to kick the doors down for opportunities, this really worries me. Because one of the things we focus on so much here at One of Many is helping women to have that kind of impact, but without burning out. And I don't know about you, but working at 150% of the rate that we feel our male counterparts have to, and also, feeling like we have to kick doors down and be not too aggressive but strong and so on, it feels exhausting. And frankly, it often is. What this speaks to me of is a system that requires changing. It's the system that's causing this to be such a challenge. And it's really easy to therefore point the finger at the system and say, well, it's not going to change for women in leadership until the system changes. But frankly, the people who are going to be able to change this system, it's going to be the women and the minority groups who are in leadership, who become the role models and become the champions of change for those women that come behind them. This needn't be an issue for the next generation if we, those women leaders who are feeling called to it, can step up, be resourced and powerful to make the changes in this generation. I'm not for a second saying it's going to be easy. I'm not for a second going to say it's going to be a thankful task, where everyone's going to reap accolades and rewards on it. We might have to bust down some doors, but if we support one another, if we can lift each other up, if as a group of women we can be there for each other when we need to have a damn good cry on somebody's shoulders because some fucker's done something annoying, excuse me, I'm Australian, that's really, upset things at the workplace. If you're, really struggling with being the balance between trying to be a great mom and trying to do a good job, and those moments where you feel like you're failing at everything, if you can have the kind of support that says, you know what, I get it, I'm there too, and we can do this and we will do this, so our daughters and our granddaughters can have a different experience. That's what we need to be for each other. We absolutely need to show up in this kind of way. What do you think? When someone says to you that there's not as many women leaders because women just want to leave the workforce to have their children, what do you think? For me, it feels like a force majeure. For me, it feels like the system doesn't support it, but we want to do it. So how do we change the system? For me, it feels from within. But what do you think? How do you think we can make a real difference here and turn it around so that all of these organizations, both political and corporate, can get the kind of parity of leadership, which we know in our hearts is not only right, but gets a better result? I'm really interested in your thoughts. Please do feel free to share in the comments what your response is to this and what you think needs to change. If this is interesting for you, please do share it with one of the women in your community and like the video if you'd like to hear more from us.